everyone. Today this video that you're about to watch is all about the small 3D houses, but it applies to doing large 3D houses as well. Get ready to fast forward as always during the hand sewing, and don't forget to subscribe and share and all that good stuff, because more are coming out and you'll be automatically notified. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the video. And as always, please contact me if you have further questions. Today is all about tiny houses, 3D ornaments. This is applicable to the 3D larger pieces as well. I do them the exact same way for the most part. Most of the big ones don't have the panel at the bottom that you're going to work with. Sorry, I'm just looking and I don't see my ironing pad. Hold on. Okay, so as you can tell, so I did block this, believe it or not, but you see how these little guys have come back in after blocking. They look a little, don't worry about it, because we're going to put structure within it that's we're gonna be able to shift it back out again. So we implement everything that we normally do, where we go around the piece, but I don't want you to do the deep V's yet when you're cutting this, okay? I think I need to give these a sharpen. Okay. And we are going to cut pretty far down, but not as far down in as you think. It's been a little while since I've done one of these. My videos were done previously with pieces that I was finishing for different shops, and same's applicable here. So if I didn't get one in, I couldn't make a video. Now, why am I doing this with the corners? Because I am taking as much bulk off now as I can. Okay, so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and dart my corners. And I'm coming straight in, not straight in, angle in. Think of an envelope where I'm creating the flap. If you ever got into origami or maybe not scrapbooking, but card making, that kind of a thing where you made some envelopes. Okay. In my one of my recent videos about how we do it in class, one of the things that I implemented was drawing a V onto your paper and putting it underneath, so you can go and put a little sketch line on there. You can try that if you're worried that you're not in quite the right place. again, this is so small. I want to try. I'm taking off more than maybe you're going to feel comfortable about, but don't worry about it. Canvas is going to shred away. There's no way to do it, these types of things, without it. People that do it with a sewing machine, good on you. I personally like to do it this way because I feel I have more control lining it up, the stitches on the sides and along the seams, the way that I actually do it. So it's whatever way makes sense to you. If you're like, Kelly, I don't want to do this, I'm just going to go along with the sewing machine and that's fine. Just realize that this person, or maybe you, used a very long stitch. It's hard to kind of see because my camera is not showing a lot of the texture, but this is a long stitch, and when you sew along this edge, it's going to be a challenge, because what happens is when there are long stitches is you take the chance of it grabbing, going through the thread, and it ends up pulling it and maybe making it gap, for lack of a better word. Pop up, shift, show a little bald spot underneath, look like a massive comb over. It's a thing. It happens. Oh, missed you guys. So, when people design these, we have to be really careful that we just don't automatically assume that the roof line is going to be the exact length that we need. It's a challenge for me with all of the 3D houses that I've ever created, that I don't, it's that Goldilocks principle I talk about. It can't be too long. It can't be too short. Some people have actually like overstitched the end accidentally because they use, like, when I say the end, I mean the peak of the roof, because it was a fancy stitch that they wanted to use. And I'm going right up in between those. See how I'm doing that? I'm shredding that away. And you're like, but Kelly, you're going to lose that. No, it's going to roll. I'm going to lose that one peak stitch, but the rest of this line is going to go. I think another challenge for us is going to be dealing with the heavy beads. It's a challenge. It's not a disability where we have to go, oh yeah, no, I'm not touching that because there's beads. Sorry, I got wispy hair in my face and it's making my face itch. So when I do peaks, I cut across. I shred away the cross members, okay? Do not be afraid. Easy for me to say, right? Yeah, I know. And I think I'm going to go to about there. Now, I'm not cutting up in for a reason and shredding away this corner. Now, you noticed, or maybe you didn't, that I put a dart here because that's some place that has to bend, okay? If we don't have that dart there when it bends, it's not as nice of a crease. Whereas in this area, because it is a deep V versus just a bend, we are putting it into here so that we can have something that our tab can roll down onto, because we're going to secure a piece of mat board in there. Okay, so we're going to bring it in like that. And like that. Okay. Now, in class, I leave the little bips on, but really, you're just going to let them shred. We don't care. It's not a big deal. You're not going to lose that corner. And I personally do not find it helpful to take a sewing machine and sew all the way around the edges. It doesn't stop stuff from shredding away. It is a waste, effort, and futility. All right, it looks like that defined wall line that is not there. And it's probably going to shred away at that corner anyway. Okay, again, I want to keep this. Oh, missed one. Now I'm not coming straight at some of these spots, like right here. I'm struggling with my eyes right now as well. Due to eye fatigue and eye strain, I think my prescription shifted. And I need new glasses. Okay. It's fine. Okay. And so now we finger press everything around. So if the quality isn't as great, I apologize on this video, because I'm trying to do it on my PC instead. Now we can come straight up and put this bend in our wall at this point as we're going around. See what's happening with this? As I'm coming around, it's still intact. Okay, we're still finger pressing it around. Now, on the big houses, a lot of times you will find that there is no bottom piece. Okay, so stitched area, I should say. And so you have to create one. And that's where you're going to have to, in a little bit, once we get all the walls put together, pinned together, don't use clips on these. Okay, just don't. You're going to flatten your stitches. They're irretrievable once they're flattened. All right, so just don't. Those are for quilting, and especially not for 3D things like this. Okay. Especially when they have fancy stitches. Woo la la. My hands don't want to work this morning. Okay. It's there. Because what we're going to do is we're going to give that a little fold. I'm folding the two pieces reversal, and that's going to create a little crease there so that when we bring these together like this, once the board is in there, it'll create a nice little V. It's exactly the same way I do the pears or my topper ornaments or any of those cute little music boxy kind of things for babies. Babies. Gotta love the babies. You don't see so many of those anymore. At least I don't. I haven't seen one in a while. Yeah, that's... Yep, right up on it. Okay. And, I mean, as you're going around, you're going to be able to see. Now, people are going to say, well, why didn't you trace the shape? Doesn't work. Tracing shapes and then laying it out, you're just not going to make your pieces small enough, or else you're going to make them too small, or else you just do the finger press, get it set around so that you can see how much actually rolls in the time. I am going to roll this over. But I have a feeling it is definitely, they're a little bit too long. But maybe not. I never can tell. I had one that was way too long, so I had to shorten it. It's been a while since I designed one of these, but sometimes I go like maybe 2 stitches over. The problem with doing that is that then it creates such bulk at the roof line, at the peak. It just looks like these 2 big humps, and you can't, it doesn't look like a nice crisp line. So it is the challenge as a 3D designer. And if you're going to design something, you should design it, stitch it, finish it, or have a finisher help you do that to make sure that it works. Because, you know, I just designed something and I'm not loving, and I actually said after my last plane trip, so we're going to steam all the tabs over. After my last plane trip, I was like, I took things on that I could work on the plane, and I got done with them so quickly that I was like, boredom. I hate sitting. As you can tell, did I not plug anybody in? Wow. It's been a morning already. All right, I'm going to pause this. Okay, I think at least my iron is ready. Constantly distracted when I'm working because when people come into the parking lot and they come all the way down, because it's not like a pull through at my spot. Like, who are you and what are you doing here? But they're just turning around to go back up to the coffee shop that's to Cape Cod Coffee. It's right up the way. Bakery in my building isn't open yet this early in the morning. Thank goodness. For me. Now, as I said earlier, Don't worry about shape. It's going to be what it's going to be. I'm pulling that over with the edge because I really don't feel like burning my fingers to a crisp this morning by steaming the heck out of them. Doesn't mean I won't. I'd just prefer to try to not to. Now we will sort of be getting our shape from this, but not really, because they're all right angles and they're all squares to a certain extent that we're going to be putting inside of this for structure. And today is the day where you get to see me use mat board, because this is so tiny. If when you start trying to use foam core in tiny pieces, it can be challenging. And I have so many scraps of mat board that I get from someone who does framing. Perfect time to use them up. You can use mat board, you can use chipboard. A lot of times chipboard is not, I feel like it's not, I don't think it's acid free. And it's not that I think foam core isn't as good. I don't know. I just look at it and I think, dang, that's a lot of industrial glue in this. And if you're going to use that, use a cereal box. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Not as much anymore. Man, cereal boxes used to be some pretty industrial strength cardboard, but not so much anymore, which is not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Let's keep our trees. And I come from the land of cereal. That was our industry that was local in Michigan, where I grew up. But I do know a finisher who used to use her cereal boxes. She was not just frugal, she was frickin' frugal. That's a Golden Girls term. You might not have watched that show if you're of a certain age group. Okay. All right. Looks hideous, right? Yeah, I know. It'll all come together. Don't worry about it. Trust the process, she said. It'll come out fine, she said. She fibs. No, she doesn't. Not intentionally. Okay, so our next step. Oh, this one's got a smudge on it, but that's okay because it's going on the inside. We don't care. All right, so I want my quilting ruler and a pencil-ish looking item. Okay. Ugh, I got a scoochie. Trying to stay in camera, but at the same time in camera over here. So from the front, which I don't usually do, I'm going to measure that this piece, like where the lines are, right? The fold lines. But I can do that from the back, actually, because I can actually see where she stitched. Interesting. So this piece from the top of the green. I want to do about 1 3/4 inches because I like to keep within 2 stitches. And I know it's hard for you to see that green line that's going across there. So 2 stitches smaller is that 1/8, 16th. And that's 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. Yes, I just wrote that down because no short-term memory. Okay, and then to get all of these, you want, we're going to measure that this is to this roof line here. So that's the 2 1/4 that goes across the face. And then it is, we're going to measure up to the roof. So it's 2 1/4 by 1 by 2 1/4. And we're going to need 2 of these. And this one, we only need 1 of these. Now this isn't, I get it, it's a peak, but you're going to make the square first, and then we're going to come in and say that this peak, if this is 2 1/4 and we put it there, is like 1 1/8. So that's 2 of those. And then I'm going to say 1 1/4 by 1 1/4. I'm looking at the exterior of this. We don't want it to go all the way to the edge. We're just supporting that roof line and that panel. Each of those panels are going to make a flat area. So if you just stuff it, it's going to go, and it's not going to keep its shape at all. So the roof line, actually, I'm not getting a good read because of the stitching. I can't kind of see where that actual line was. So that's 1 1/4 by 1 and that's, it's 1 3/4 wide essentially. So 1 5/8. 1 1/4. 1 1/4 by 1 5/8. Roof. And then this is the 1 3/4 by 1 1/2. Sides. Okay. Now, I know you're going, Kelly, you always tell us you don't math. Yeah, this is about as mathy as I get. Okay? I know. I contradict myself all the time with that when I start using the ruler. And trust me, it is not my friend. I miscut stuff all the time. So I need 2 of those. And what is this? This is 2 3/4. I have another piece, doesn't matter. So we're gonna do 1 3/4, 1.5. I do 1.5. It's still not enough. Just trying to maximize. I don't know why. And this is why I don't like, because then my ruler starts to slide. And then my knife does that, and my hands cannot take doing this with scissors all day long. So it's a thing. So then 1 3/4. By 1.5. Now you might say, well, Kelly, why don't you just put a pencil line there? And because side. I really like that nice crisp line of cutting. So 1.5. Trying to make sure it's sort of square in case the last time I did this. Now, the other reason I'm writing side on this is because I am trying to make sure that I know which way was up when I cut it, because I am going to bevel the opposite side. Because, yeah, I want as little bulk in between, even though the panels might not meet, just in case they do on the sides. They come together with a nice sharp edge like that. It might seem like it's something, it's just my brain. I don't know what to tell you guys. It's like, I gotta bevel it. Really? All right, so 1 1/4 by 1 5/8. So this is 1 3/4. So if I do 1 1/4, I do have a mat board cutter here that I could be using. But for these tiny pieces, it doesn't really work well because it's for a really long. And this is roof. And we got to cut it down to 1 5/8. Now, some people hearing me say, oh, I cut it with my scissors. I'm that person that you hate in your house that uses scissors that she shouldn't. On board. Yep, I'm the one. You used my sewing, my material scissors, and I used to mark them. I did, but then I just grabbed whatever was close because I was terrible. I'm a terrible human being when it comes to yeah, roof. My grandmother would just crown me if she heard me saying that. What? Because she definitely had her beautiful Ganger scissors, and you did not touch those for anything but material. No paper, no nothing. Okay, so there's our sides. There's our roof. Do, 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 do. 1 3/4 by 2 1/4. 1 3/4 by. Nope. Next are all of the 2 1/4 pieces. There are some pieces where finishings where I hope they never get opened up, because I'll make notes on pieces of mat board and then use the mat board, and sometimes I don't take the notes off, so maybe there's some weirdo, don't forget to call the doctor, or don't forget to da-da-da, or there's measurements on it like this piece, you know? I mean, yeah. That doesn't mean you should open your things up and see if I actually did that, if you know that I'm the one that did it. Wait, did I just do that 2 1/2? Nope, I did it 2 1/4. Don't know why, it just didn't look like a square to me. Alright, so this is 2 1/4, 2 1/4. That is a side. And then front side. And you're, I'm sure you're saying, Kelly, why are you writing that on there? 'Cause I'm tired. And as soon as I don't, I'm gonna be dumb and I'm gonna cut it into the 1 3/4 for the bottom instead of this one. I don't have to, and I need to know which side to bevel on those. And now it's 1 3/4. It was so lovely out yesterday. I had my screens open to get the breeze to come in, because I have those magnetic screens that close in your doorway. And a stupid fly got in, and I can hear him, and he's annoying me. I don't even have to see him. He doesn't even have to be flying around my head. Okay, and this is the bottom. We're gonna bevel the opposite side, and I'm just taking that edge off again. I don't need to take that one because it has a little bevel on it, but I'm gonna. Go away. And let's. Excuse me. The peak is 1 1/8, I think we said. Now, the one thing we didn't measure is how far the sides come up. So that is 1.5. Okay. I have a piece of tape or something on the face of some kind of adhesive that's stuck to it. It's annoying me. So then it's 1.5. Just like that. Neat. There. Yeah. Can't see when I'm doing that. There to there. Yeah, I'm not messing around with this. All right, let's take a look. Ta-da. Boom. Good. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to match exactly. Oh, I'm getting backlighting from the beautiful window behind me. Okay. Now I can take this. Now, even though just make sure that when you're doing this, you see, one side's a little longer. Look at that. You can see it. This side, this side. That one goes past a lot more. So I'm going to flip this. Go like that. Now, why did I do that? If you want symmetry, you want, if you flip it, so now like I'm putting it on against this piece, I'm going to take off just that little edge down here. You flip it over and you trace it again, and then you take the inner line. But then I have to go. Again, that makes so it's not quite perfectly straight. When it comes to that roof line, it's not going to be straight. I hear something tapping outside. When you have to be careful about the writing on the one side is when you have open stitches. Because this is the opposite of what we do when we do an ornament. The X side is the non-bevel side. We're essentially doing the same thing, but when we put it in, the bevel is up instead of towards the needle point. Done. Done. Just stab myself. You may say, Kelly, I don't care if there's a blunt edge to the side. Care. Just care. Done, 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 done. Okay, so there's our bottom, our roof. Okay. All right, so now we're going to lay it up in front of us, sides, front. Okay. Got bevel bits all over me. Okay. So now that looks like it should fit in there nicely. We're going to slide that in. We're going to make sure, or try to make sure, that it's going to be square when we put it in there. So the two sides we can put down first are, and make sure that we're getting a nice straight so what I'm looking at is that in this corner there's like 2 stitches in, 2 stitches in, little schmear. Now again, if you don't have asbestos thumbs, I want you to find your silicone fingertips and put them on at this point, okay? There's no reason to kill your fingers. Okay. So now I know that this side is nice and square. I'm going to look at this side, make sure that this stitch is square. See the green line? And that these are square. All right. It's the beauty of having structure within something, is that it's square. Okay. Like that. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So now I want my dowel needle and I want to pull some of this up. Make sure I can see that I need to pull this side. I'm grabbing it like this. I'm pulling with my thumb. wedging it against that board, and now I'm laying it in, okay? And you're like, well, Kelly, if you just blocked it right, there's some stuff that's just not going to block and stay blocked. So, the struggle is real. It doesn't matter what I do sometimes. You do want to do it and try to get your stitching because it needs, especially if you're a professional, you don't want to see wavy lines. You don't want to see this on here all cattywampus where it's just screwed up looking. Because number one, somebody is paying you to do this in a professional manner. And when it's your piece to do yourself, you want it to look like it's come from a professional. So, take the moment you need to get it all pulled the right way. The other thing is when we go to put this all together and we get it stuffed with styrofoam, preferably hardcore, because all it takes is one person to go and it'll dent, or the softness comes through. So that's why I tend to do hard core on the interior. Is I don't want somebody to be able to come up and play with it like it's a squeaky toy and break it down. Okay. So I think and because some of them they don't have this area, so the harder ones to work on is this side panel here and this side panel here, because all it has is that peak that you're wrapping it around the waste canvas. Okay, so here we go. In like so. In like so. And I want to get the bottom set in first before the peak. And let's hope that the peak is the right angle. I think it is, but we're going to start with the side, just like we did the first time, because you can tell it is shifty. Now, people use basket weave in an attempt to keep it as blocked as possible, because it is a thing. It'll keep it square even if you've worked in your hand. No judgment on working in your hand. There are a lot of people that do it. It's easier to carry. Whatever. Their reasoning being they don't want the added cost. I don't know. But you can see how it's sitting in here is really not squared. So now we're going to shift this, push it. Now we're a little bit far from our edge. This is why I said I don't want to put the peak down first, because I could have made it a little bit bigger. It's a thing. But we're not going to worry about it. Okay? I'd rather have to... do I want to worry about it? And put the extra 1/8 all the way around it. Because now is our time to do that. Yeah, we're going to do it. So when you want to take something off, steam it. Then lift it. Okay? because you're preserving that board. Not that you're going to use it again, but say it was a round piece. You know your board fits, but you messed up somehow. I don't know. So instead of 2 1/4, we're going to do we want to do a full 2 1/2? The really important one that it's going to make a difference on is this one, because there's no side supports, waste canvas to roll over. And that is, and I'm looking at the red stitching. Yeah, just an 1/8 on top and side. Okay. So let's take this, try to move this. I don't have a problem as much with the peak not going all the way up, because on points, there's so much that's there, you don't need it, that support. So there, like that. Okay. Might not be quite perfect, but, and yes, lazy way for me. I just can't do it all day because my hand will give out. I talk about it in other videos where with a star, you don't put support all the way out to the tip. This might not seem like a star, but sorry, I'm struggling with my glasses. Oof, not enough there. All right, I gotta grab another piece of foam core, or mat board. Okay. There. When you trace around something, just remember you need to trace to the interior of your pencil line, because it's going to make your pencil line too big. Or it's going to make your piece just that little bit bigger. That one needs the support on. Okay. And this is what happens to me. I try to put stuff within reach, but then it then I lose where it's at, and it's like, oh my giddy aunt, are you kidding me? Where'd I put that? Okay, so this is my trace side, so this is my cut side. do, do, do. Now you go here. Getting that even, that stitching. Okay. Well, thin schmear. Thin, 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 thin. You're just using it to pull it around and tack it there. It's not about, let's put 900 sticks of glue into it. No, 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 no. Now I can see that it's close. It's really close to our corner edge. I'm just giving it a little push with my thumb. Okay. And I'm centering it. All right. Schmear. Whoop. Okay. Roll. Trying to make sure I have the same amount rolled all the way around. Dollop of glue. Heat up that glue that's in that corner. I make a V with my fingers and pull it up and around. Now that's something you can adjust as you're sewing. It's sewing. I'm sorry. There's only so many things that I can show you that are no glue or all glue. I've been thinking about it. How would I do it? But you still gotta tack it down. You just do. Okay. So I'm looking at this going, wow, that stitch line is really close and this one's really heavy. Again, it comes down to top of the stitch. You know how I tell you on rounds, not everything is round. So, because of how our stitches are. So I'm looking at this from the front saying, that's going to pull as it comes around there. This needs to be pulled a little bit to be straight. That's good, I think. But I got to pull that around a little bit because I can't have waste canvas showing. On the edge. If I can get away with not having to put cording on the edge, I wanna, because I don't personally think these need every seam lined. I mean, they're designed well. They've been engineered this way for a long time. And even if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, it's been done. Because when I started, there were people, and I was doing 3D pieces, they were like, oh, I remember those, that kind of piece. And I'm like, I didn't come up with that. No, I did not. We have had people engineering fun things for needlepoint for a long time, especially the little houses. Maybe not like the pears and things like that, but definitely. I don't want to pull too much of this around, but that looks pretty. I'm looking at the stitch lines. Pretty close to the peak. I think we're good. So just keep putting them in. I'm going to come to this end because, like I said, this end will flop forward here. This side I can do. This side I can do. This side I can do relatively easily. So top, sides. Yeah, that's close to our stitch line. Now I have put it all together and had to come back in and give that a little cut because maybe it's a little too big and it comes together. I don't mind if it's a little, if I can get this laid in nicely on the sides and the bottom. What happens is when you fold all of these up, it stretches that canvas, all of this area, and it kind of blocks it. So it's not a bad thing that it's a tight fit in certain respects. As long as you don't have a ton of waste canvas around the edge, this needlepoint canvas, it stretches quite well and it tightens it up and it kind of does this little pseudo block to it. Just enough glue to be able to get that around, make sure that your waste canvas is around and set. I mean, even if I didn't care about touching it, if I, had I'm really not putting enough on that it's even hot to my sensitive fingers that aren't used to touching it. Now you're like, oh man, I can see waste canvas. Do the steam trick and pull it over and you don't even have to use this. It's so funny. I just was looking at the camera. There I have a video where I have terrible poison oak, poison ivy, whatever you want to call it, on my hands, and in the camera I can I can see the scar. It's like, wow, that's how many years ago? Crazy. Now, I'm checking to make sure that my top where it bends, because when I look on this side, I can see where they've pulled under their stitching, run it under through their other stitching. So I'm just checking to make sure that I have not wandered into a horrible area where the bend is not the bend, and it's fine there. I will say I'm a little worried. I want a crisp line here, so I'm going to make sure that this is centered. Yeah, I think we're okay. What I'm looking at is what it looks like up here if I'm got too much to pull around up there, because again, I want to make sure that this line has a good fold to it so I can see that I'm going to start on this side and I'm going to center it. Again, you have to, this long stitch that they've used creates a little bulk on the back, so you have to be prepared for it. You have to account for it and make your piece that little bit smaller for the stitch that you have used. Okay. Mhm. Now it looks like a big, huge gap between these pieces. Okay, these two, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. because when these come up and when we stuff it, it will be fine. And if we miscalculate it a little bit, it'll be fine. So many tricks that you can use. So I'm going to pull this down. Again, I can see I pulled a little more down here than I did up here. I only want to see that much. I do not want to pull a ton of canvas around. I'm not getting my shape like in our round ornament class. I'm not getting it from this. I'm giving this structure, okay? So don't try to go too close to the edge. I have got to find another source for the big, long, high-temp glue sticks. And I'm just putting enough on there to pull these around so that, number one, I'm not fighting with them later. Number two, I don't want so much there that when I'm running my curved needle through, it becomes a drama. That it's so hard to pull it around. Okay. I think I'm going to center it there. And I'm looking at it from the front and see, it's squared up all of the lines and it'll get even square as we go. Only have our shorty glue sticks left. It took me a lot of years to use up the giant bulk box that I had to get to be able to get the long high temp hot glue gun sticks. And it's what makes, now you see what I'm doing? You see how cattywampus that is? We are shifting it like that, centering it best we can. This one seems a little saucier than the others, the other roof panel. And now laying it in. We give it a pin after this to make sure that we don't need to adjust anybody because it's been stupid and decided to make it all out of whack, looked bad, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I have had some that are so misshapen. I have had to put a smear of Fabri-Tac, which is acid-free glue that I use. And if you're willing to use a self-finishing product that has 3M glue sticky on it, that's glue, glue, glue. So please stop with the glue hating. All right, there we go. On that note, when I've tried to use 3M tape or sticky tape of any kind to try to put the tabs around whatever, because, hey, I'm all about learning something new and trying something new. But when I did it, the regret was real, because when you're pulling a needle through it to put cording on or something to that effect, now you can see that our V's are not shredded away. All right. And when we put them together like this, look at that. Okay. You don't have to cut those deep, deep down. You can literally fold them back in and save that little bit of canvas, because if any place is gonna lose and have stitches go, it's something where you've cut it so deep. And I've done it both ways, where I've put smear of glue all the way down to try to keep those little bits, but then when you're trying to sew it together, it just sucks. So, there are no hard and fast rules. You figure out what works for you. But this one, because it all folds together, we can manipulate it more once we get it all together. So now our last two pieces that are going to be our most difficult, because they're just going to keep flopping forward on us. We only worry about getting this in like so. Smear and down. Okay. Just making sure that that's around. Okay. Just like I was saying, it all works out in the end. Okay. And then we put this guy up and in, and I want us to look, and I feel like that peak is just like wrong. But it's wrong on the front because it's not square. So we're going to line it up, roof line, edge, 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 like that. Okay. Now I'm gonna do a little grab and pull, and we're gonna work that on to be equal the best we can. Like I said, if it needs to be shifted and cut, we will do that once we get this set on. So I'm just putting this to there. Okay. I'm using my stitch line as my guide. There. All right. And then I'm going to grab this like this. I'm pinching it and I'm pushing and pulling that little bit. It's awkward. I'm not saying that it's not. And that smear near the edge. Okay. Okay. Now you can see that the 19th hole, it's a little wonky looking, but this too shall pass. So we're going to kind of pull this up. Lay it flat. Pull this up. Like so. Pull this. I'm trying to get this little piece of board there on right under that side. Boom. Did you see that gap close when I did that? Okay. We want the boards working against each other. So let's get your sides up. And what I mean by that is they're, struggling. They're pushing against each other. So it's a form of blocking it. Oof. Come over here, pincushion. Tomato. One of my many maters that I have. Okay. Yuck. That was stuck to my thumb. It is not stuck to the needle point, though. Do not panic. Okay. So these two are in, right? No. One more. Because we need it. These two are going straight down in like this. These are going straight in like this. We need one that comes in like this. Otherwise, as we're working our way around, these other two could potentially push up and there's nothing there that's keeping it closed. Uh-huh. All right. So now we're going to put our bottom in. Why our bottom next? Well, it'll help us keep it square in our hand. Okay. Because we wait to fill it until, okay, so see how that's puckering right there? Because that's one of those bends that I didn't cut, right? So you take and you push that with your dowel needle in, and it folds it in. And we just push it with another pin. And let's do the same thing there. Now, you might look at these seams and be like, whoa, that's not good. But that all dissipates when you put it together. And any of these white bits that you can see, you're just gonna push those under as you sew along. You don't have to worry. You're like, oh my gosh, did you see that waist canvas pop out? Yeah, I saw it. I don't worry about stuff like that. I can see there's a little waist canvas that's still popping out because this corner isn't turned enough. So I stick my needle in and I bend the canvas back a little bit. I tell people in class, if you saw some of the stuff that I did to your piece, you might be like, oh no, my poor baby. But your baby looks beautiful by the time it's done. So don't worry about the baby. The baby's fine. Okay. Now, I want to lift this up a little, then push it. Okay. And in. Okay. This time, again, I'm using the blunt end of my dowel needle, sliding it in, and I'm pushing it down. That eliminates that area. The other thing is because it's not filled yet, it definitely looks more concave, but not to worry. Trust the process. See, by me shifting it, it opened that gap up. Don't worry about it. It's not a thing right now that we care about. Okay. Yeah, it worked for the most part so far. Got little spidey webs all over everything. Get off of there. Okay. Now, do this. I'm going to there are days where I feel like all thumbs. So now, there, and there. And this one we put down first, because this one's going to have a little shifty. Catching it there. And this one has a shifty because we got to push that down and pull it up. Sometimes it's about how you lay it on. That should set right on the edge. By the time you're done sewing it and filling it, it really doesn't matter, other than you want it to meet, sort of. And this is just holding it. By the time you start sewing it all together, it'll change again. See, because me just holding it like that made it all cattywampus again. See? So we need to take this out. Sometimes it's been a little while for me doing one of these, like I said earlier. And what I want to do with this guy is I want to bring these sides together so that the stitches that are stripy match. It's a thing. Worst case scenario, I'm going to say that we come in and we do all this weird stuff. No. I just want to get that lined up. And I got a pin with too much glue on it. All right, I got to bring this to me. Oh. Like this. Worst case, we're going to reheat this. Pull those up a little bit more and really use the peak right on that line. But I feel like that raw edge to that raw edge of waste canvas, instead of having it rolled as much as it is. But I find when I'm going around and doing the hand stitching part, it just kind of all works. So then I get that set in, and then I'll shift the roof line to meet better. I'm just trying to get it up on there a little bit. Now I have done preliminary stuff before I've done it, stuffing it, so that it doesn't do this little bit of weirdness. And I can hold it better because it doesn't collapse. It's okay. Looks a little weird, but it's okay. I don't know if I'm trying to, make you feel better or myself feel better. That it's going to be all right. It's going to be okay. Just breathe. Because I definitely have those moments. all the time, every day. And I know you've heard it in my videos. I do not hide my stress very well some days. So the first thing we're going to do is I want to sew up this seam. Or do I want to put the peak in first? I think we're gonna, on this one, because it's always different, every one. 1, 2, 3. I think I want to put the peak in first. And I am going to try to grab way down under at that stitch line at the waist canvas. Now, why did I not just, because you just don't always know on how exacting this is, okay? And you don't know always if somebody overstitched it a little bit because you can't see the painted area anymore. So this is why the peak of the roof can be a big pain in the tuchus. Come on, come on. Shift, shift, shift. I have to shift it because the leather part in there, because it starts breaking down the rubber as I push it against the leather. Better that than my skin. All right. I don't mind it being a little separated because of our situation. So I'm coming into the right side of the roof. I'm putting it up under and coming out at my peak. But I'd like, there we go. I'm trying to get it to kind of be right on that edge. Wow, I took a lot more line than I thought I did. Now I'm going to bring it over. Pull it up a little. And make sure I'm still in camera. There it is. Remember what I said about the glue in the corner? The regret's real. And this is why I hate pins. So I'm on the right side. Came up there. I'm coming down under. And I'm aiming for that green spot there. Okay. I'm giving it a little bit of a pull because I don't want it to be so loose. I'm pushing down under again to the interior. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay. Pull. right through the rubber. And missed the leather. Mm-mm. I know pins are a necessary evil, but sometimes. Ay, ay, ay. And now there. All right. Looks like alfalfa, that little one piece of white waste canvas. Kind of funny. Just pull it back under, shove it in there. Get in there. Do as you're told. My children don't listen to me, so and do as they're told. Oh, they're in their 20s now. 26 and 27. How did that happen? You blinked. I blinked. And they are way too old. Okay. Itchy. Okay. Trying to get this pulled under and not it. Not it. Okay. All right. Shove that down in. Lifting that up. Shifting it over. There. That's better. Where are you coming from? There it goes. Now. Peek for a roof. Where is it? Scoochie, scoochie over. Mm. Gotta be able to put my hand up inside this thing. There. Come on. Mama. Can I just have one video where it doesn't look like I don't know what I'm doing? I don't know why it's doing that. Maybe it's because you don't know what you're doing. Yeah, maybe. But I'm also trying to rush. What am I trying to do? trying to grab too far up is the problem. So I'm going to put this pin straight down in, but I'm angling it up, inserting it in, and then wedging it. Okay, so that the peak gets to that top where the peak is supposed to be. All right, and we grab that. Like that. And like that. Okay. Again, don't look at the canvas. Do not look at the man behind the curtain. Right. Now, I would love for you to sit and be looking at this thing and at me personally, and I'm looking at it going, oh, it's perfection. I can see that this is just gonna, no. It always looks weird and wonky as you're going along. And you might even see light of day between your seams right now. Don't think about it. Just keep moving forward is what I constantly have to tell myself because it makes me paranoid. This isn't my piece. This is something that somebody lovingly stitched for somebody who apparently likes golf. Not my thing, but not mine to care about. Not my project. Trying to get that angle. Okay. And now, gotta do the shifty here again. Push it in, angle it up. Don't want to torque on that stitch that much. I'm angling it up and I'm leveraging it up to shift it onto the peak like that. Okay. Move that guy. That's just a hold, and that's a hold. And then eventually it shall come together. I smell croissants. How rude of the bakery. Don't they know? I don't have time to eat right now. But they're making me hungry. For sure. Okay. All right. Sort it together, right? So we have our... Now, it does not mean that we might not have to go back over and stitch along. So this is where that is. Okay. Because right now, all of these seams are kind of compressed. Okay. Up. I am going to grab into that little peak piece and just start sewing all the seams together, except obviously the bottom. My thing is that as I'm sewing this, I'm coming under these long stitches. This is where I'd love to say you can use a straight needle, and a lot of people do. I find that being able to slide that up under makes all the difference in the world. Because some of these stitches that are long stitches, they're a beast. They love to pucker on edges, and then it's up to the finisher to make it work. And it ain't always easy. Okay. I'm bringing it up in the middle because I know that there is that little pocket of uncut stitches. And they're stressed too. Now I'm going to turn it around. And I'm going to bring it up into those stitches. I mean, you know, the long stitch, it's a cute stitch. It's just torture trying to not catch it in such a way that it's going to bind it. Too many tools on my table for my fishing line. And then I have to come back and pull and fix it. Hopefully. Uh-oh, hot flash. Sorry. But I'm not going to fuss with it too much right now because when we come back... Okay, hold on. Once it's stuffed, it could, or filled, however you want to put it. It could potentially do the same thing, where it creates this weird pucker. So, we wait. Try to grab up under again. Definitely have to grab lower. There. Okay. Okay. Gonna grab way back in here. Mhm. Don't look at it, Kelly. Don't look at it. It will work out. If it doesn't, just don't post the video. No, no. Kelly doesn't do that. No, don't. Again. Don't freak out about that. Making sure I don't accidentally grab one of these beads with my fishing line. Did I? Nope. Okay. Come up in the middle. We go across again. Why do we do this? Why not have a double line running through there? I only put maybe 3 stitches in there. So I'm going to take some smaller stitches to go across. Okay. As you put a curved needle through, you're going to see a lot of distortion to stitches, things like that. Don't worry about it. You can come back and kind of just manipulate them back to the way you want, where you want them. Bugger. I'm gonna have no hands by the end of the day if I keep this up. It's also interesting to see how it behaves, the panels on the interior behave compared to how many sides they have glued, etc. Because, yeah, this one is much firmer. This side is much firmer than the other side because the other side has a lot more seams around it. Doesn't have the top and the bottom glued, so it holds it beautifully. This is why I hate pins right here. This is it. And because I pulled too long of a line. Almost there. At least it's being small, it doesn't take me quite as long. Famous last words. One thing you'll notice is that hopefully if we do this correctly, you're not going to see any bits that make you have to have cording. And if it does, maybe you want to trim it out because it's a really gingerbready looking house. That's okay. We can make some skinny cording for it. And we can sew it on. And it adds a little dimension and a little finish and a little polish. But sometimes there's a stitch on the edge that makes it so you don't need to. And, you know, this is a little golf hut. Does it need it? Design-wise, I don't know yet. We wait until we get it stuffed and see how we need to hide the mechanics. You know, that's again, that's the whole taking it to the next level, making sure that everything looks professional. And sometimes that means using a tool we don't always like. Curved needle. Yeah, I know, I know. Nobody likes that. I didn't like it. Now I can't sew anything without it because it just feels wrong. I don't have a curved needle to manipulate. It just doesn't feel right. So I'm trying to line up my stitches from front to back. There, especially where there's a color variation, which to get it to shift that little bit. Which side am I on? I'm on the front, that thumb side. This isn't maybe the way that everybody does it. This is just the way I do it. So it's all about experimenting with what works for you. As I'm making this knot to close the seam, I pulled up a bunch of junk waste canvas. See how it pulls and you can see it? Well, that's just a bit of glue that I pulled up. Once you get that knot done, angle it over and pull. Okay? That will pull the majority of that line back down in that waste canvas, and you're now good to go. So now you take out all your pins. Pin, pin, pin. Out, out, out. Don't look at this side, it's scary. Okay. Okay. So, it does not love that stitched panel. This panel was so well, ooh, I'm pulling on something I shouldn't be pulling on. So I feel like our little here is doing weird things to our canvas here. Okay. Now, some of you are going to go, Kelly, are you freaking serious? This is the time to do it. Okay. Boom. See, and that was my pointy side. Look at that. I was afraid that this was the pointy side, and it wasn't. Ay. So this side, because there is only one side that is supported, okay, and we've got a little bit of a different, I'm going to make this piece bigger, and I am not going to bevel the top edge or any of the edges because I'm afraid of what is happening is it's collapsing because it doesn't have the same kind of structure at the peak and down the side. Okay, so I'm gonna go that, like that. And I want it to be good and really strong so that it wedges it, which means no beveling. Because that is going to decrease the strength, right? Of course it is. Because we're putting a refined edge on it, which means it can fold over more. Yeah. And I feel like we really need to be able to get our stretch on this side. So now we're going to slide that back up in. Come on. Come on. I know you'll fit. It's just a matter of you need to do as I'm telling you to do. Now, my magic butter knife. I'm coming up in here. I'm pulling this forward, pushing this out a little bit. If I have to, I'll cut all those stitches. I will, so that I can get this in the way I want it. Come on. I'm pushing down, pulling up, and trying to get that stretched across the face of that. So when this comes down, it's going to pull this canvas. Okay, hold on. Watch this. See if this will help. Number one. See what we were talking about with this freaking long, beautiful stitch. Beautiful. We love them. Creates a real challenge. But that's what our lives are about. It's about the puzzle. It's about figuring out how to make things work. How to make it do what you want it to do. And I do want that side down. Oh, I missed a side of stitching it. Are you kidding me? That one's stitched, but that one's not. See how I am? This is how I am. This is how my life is. It is such a fun time. That's a little bit better, but that stitch that is right there is not a happy one. And this is where we may have to cut that out. Why do I feel like it's cockeyed? There we go. I think that's better. Yeah, and this is where the decision has to be made. Are we gonna? You're like, gonna what? Put cording. Because sometimes we just need cording. Okay. Pull. We're going to try to make that line crisp. Steam does some really gorgeous things to needlepoint. Okay. And you go down. There. Like that. And this gets lifted up. And that. It also doesn't help. It's not a very forgiving fiber. Okay. Not hating the roof line now. I do need to get this shifted. That. That is not making me happy. Because now oh, the challenges. Okay, so we need a piece of hard foam in here that is we're gonna say 1 5/8 by 2 3/8. So conceptually, we can shim it. We could stuff it. But again, you risk plumping it out versus giving it a nice squared off shape. I definitely need, what did I say, 1 5/8, and that's only 1.5 inches. All right, hold on. Okay, so this is 1.5 inches, and I feel like we can do it with this, because then we can put a shim in to this side potentially to get it to make it foof out. That doesn't really make sense to you right now, but let's work it. Okay. So it needs to be 2 3/8. Where'd I put my stupid ruler? 2 3/8. Again, if it's not perfect with this, it's okay. Because it's not like a stand-up where it has to be perfectly perpendicular. If we need to, we can always put a little shim in. Okay, but let's try to do the best we can. this side is 2. Okay. I'd say that's pretty good comparatively. All right. So now I think this is maybe our best side, sort of. We're definitely going to have to. I just kind of want the generic peak of the roof. You can also, you could just stuff the roof, but because of our issue with this one side, it's not really that it's an issue. It's just one of those things that happens that we have to figure out how to make it work. That's it. So I am perfectly straight up and down, trying to be straight up and down. Putting a guideline in. And I kind of figure if I do both sides, that hopefully... So I used to use the hot wire cutter. I found that I had little to no control. The wire got all stupid. I was not happy camper. So I got rid of it. I'd rather have a little play in it and have to come back in and, maybe put a piece of fluff over this. Oh, by the way, at this point, we're going to take and I'm going to try to show you. I'm letting the glue kind of free fall down onto that seam that I popped off. Taking my butter knife and pull it back on so that it has some support. Like so. Okay. Like I said, just have to remember to pull the stitches and set them back in. And at the end, we're going to give them a little steam. I just cannot believe how much that is doing that. You know what? Remember the front that I miscut? I'm going to shove that right up in there. Give it a little more support. Oh, the way these panels just pop, 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 pop. This is why sometimes I use the glue on the back side, because it makes me nuts. All right. Now we're going to shove this guy down in. And I'm going to do it, I think, on the back side, because I can tell I've got quite a bit of play. You know what? No. I'm pushing this down because I can see it's quite arched in the one area. I am going to shove it straight in-ish. Push it there. Wow. Ah, the challenges of my life that make me question my life choices. Ay, ay, ay. I need to stop obsessing about it. Okay. So now we need to come around like this. This is going to the front. And I am not cutting right on that line. I am cutting just to the right of it, because I'd rather have to have one more piece that goes, a shim that goes there. And this goes here. Like that. Wow, that's like pretty right on. Wow. And that's pretty close to perfect, but more. We want to shim it so that it pulls out nice and tight. Okay. I'm looking for foam core. Give me 1 second. Okay. It might be too much, but we're going to give it a shot. This is for the interior. It's not going in between like the other thing. Excuse me. Sorry, everybody. Okay. Let's see how this works. So I'm going to push this. Get the glue off. And the reason I'm concerned about this, no, I want it to this side. Because we're trying to fill that gap. And some of you are like, Kelly, if you just stuffed it, yeah, it's just not the same. I'd really, really rather... Because I can't get like that stretch on. Because that stretch is making all the difference in this area. Okay? I mean, all the difference. So now we have this set. Yeah, baby. I want to do one more shim of mat board in here. Okay. Okay. This. Because I want it to be nice and taut. And I think that might be as good as we can get it. But you know what? We just keep working it. All right, so I'm lining it up according to the back because it's so full that the seams have a little gap. Don't worry about it. All right. Yes, I'm trying to get glue off. To the front, pull, stab. I'm putting it in on that first stitch line. Grab. Okay. Again, we do the same thing we did at the top. Okay. Same with this. Sorry. There. Pull it out. We'll set that in a minute. Now, I guess it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't mess something up to the point where it annoyed me so much that I must do something drastic. Yep, that's me. Drastic to the end. So I'm using the leveraging. I'm leveraging that front to back because I don't want to be fighting with it to keep it closed. Okay, as I'm stitching it. Okay. I am just absolutely hating this side. And I'm concerned it's how it was stitched. Okay, nobody look. Or look, I don't care. There it is. That's the snap I was looking for. Ow. Just nailed myself with that. Interesting, interesting, right? Can see it loosening. So the ripple essentially is from how I was trying to get up under the stitches, these long stitches. Okay. I'm combing the stitches at this point, trying to get them to lay back down the way I want them to. Still not in love with the way the sign is. What needs to happen here is that guy needs to go under. That guy needs to come up. So what I think happened when I stitched this together is I was grabbing too far out here with my stitches and not back behind with my curved needle. Okay, and therein lied is why it was being wonky and dumb. But having the core in here has helped me tremendously to realize what's going on. Okay. Okay. Back at it. So now we're going to get the curved needle out. Grab the, oop, too late. It's already on it still. Ah, yeah, right into my thumb, finger. I have lost my red gripper. Hold, please. All right. See. Now let's just get sewing. Because that's a million times better. Yep. Yeah. Nope. And grabbing the other side, trying to stay on the interior. Now, if you think you're going to stitch down the sides and everything, because you want to add cording that's going to, I don't know, make it look more festive, always make sure to leave that opening at the corner, which also means you've got to cut all of those stitches that are in the corner or it won't go in straight. Okay. Strawberry seed in my teeth. I'm gonna come up through that stitch, back up again, just wheedling my way through. Mm, not quite. Take that out because I can't get the angle with it there. Ooh, I saw that. Power flicker. Okay. We have a not great storm coming in round 3, and the wind is blowing, blowing, blowing. Okay. Now corners are going to be a challenge because when you, especially this one, apparently, you know, when you dart canvas, sometimes it's pulls and it does dumb things. So we're going to grab one more stitch row past. To make sure there's plenty of intact waste canvas where we're stitching into. And I know that it looks like pull marks there, but by the time we get done and around, when we take those out, we'll readjust the stitches. Okay. When we get to this corner, we're going to tie it off so that we can take all that good stuff out, all the pins out, and assess kind of basically how it looks. Let it relax and shift because pins always make it get a little wonky. Scrappy, what are you doing? What you doing? Hey, hey puppy. Hey, Scrap. He gets up, I have to too. Okay, took the pins out. Forgot to turn the camera on. I have to come back around. Anyway, I think we'll have to see. I'm going to give it a steam and see how it looks. Okay. So now we just keep going around. Expecting somebody. Okay, that was not them. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Close it all nice and tight. Pushing waste canvas under. Sewing all the way up to the corner. Okay. Now, I can see down in there, I'm going to come back around because I feel like this gap is pretty big as well. Okay. Oh, got one there. Okay. that amazing what a little bit of steam will do. Okay. That guy. Roll that guy just slightly. This waste canvas is getting pushed in. Thus, you there. And then we need to pull that guy up a little bit so it doesn't look like he's going into the rough. Ta-da. Yeah, baby. Okay. So let's just seal up that seam. Good to go. Okay. Now, the question would be, do we decide you still want to do it the way we did it, even if you've got to cut it and adjust it? Because if you didn't, then you kind of don't have a way to get stuck in. You need to make sure that everything is, because if you try to do it with it just pinned, it just doesn't work. All right. So we're going to come up here and feed down in behind. Trying not to grab. So instead of coming up into this all the time, into those stitches, I'm going to do the pull around from the front. What that means is I'm always grabbing just one stitch up in, okay? And by pulling that, it gave some of those fibers a little pull. So we're going to just work those back under like that, okay? Then I can come up, and straight up is there's my glue knot. Get in there. What are you thinking? What you thinking? What? Now, we do the same thing again. Pull that under. Come back down here where it got popped up a little. Get that pushed down. Come back up under, deep into that underside of that waist canvas, which I can't see where it's going, so it means it's going nowhere. Ah, stop it. Okay. That goes in. Just keep rolling that down. I'm going to come across, because if I go into this tan, what's it going to do? It's going to screw with that long stitch, and I shall not be happy. Roll. Whoop, up, up. Roll. Push. So I'm kind of doing a ladder stitch here. going up on one side, back into the other, which then does have a tendency to do that weird bumping thing. Okay. Now, I keep telling you guys about, well, you just go back and push and manipulate. Because sometimes you're sewing into oblivion. And what do I mean by that? Maybe there aren't as many stitches there, and so there's just not as much to catch. And do you see what's happening? I feel like I'm making it pucker again when it wasn't puckering before. But what it is this needs to be pushed up in more and behind. I'm going to grab it down here. Just a couple stitches. Gotta watch that. Get out from behind there. And you see how it looks like it's puckered out? Pull it. Push it back under. And then up under. Okay. Okay, now what did it do there? Well, gotta push that under. But also, these stitches have been pulled. Ah, the perils of long stitches. And that right there might be why we have to put a cord on it, is because of those long stitches. Maybe not. That's a little better. Okay. All right. under, under. Yeah, that's still good. Okay. Okay. There we go. Those are laying better. There we go. Okay. Okay. Got a little cold. So now, as we go back across the roof, we're going to put in a ring. Okay, so that a piece of ribbon can be run through it, whatever. I've done it with loops that are just crammed down in there. But this is kind of less invasive. And if the stitcher wants to just have it sit, she could have it just sit. About this side. And then come through this side. And we're going to come back through again to try to cinch this down tighter. Okay. And then once we get to the back side, we're going to knot it off. And get those sides sewn down, especially the one I forgot to do the first time around. Ah. There. Feel like I need to go this way to keep the point. Right. Come up. There. Almost done. I'm so not happy with this front side. It's like those long stitches death of me. All right. Back and there. I feel like I still gotta go the other way too. Yeah, not stitched. No wonder it looks so wonderful. Let's see what's going on. That piece of corner canvas is popping out. Stupid waste canvas. Hmm. Okay. Don't love that. Peek. Sometimes that's as good as it's gonna get. Especially with freaking long stitches. Shoot me now. Okay. Under. Yes, I see a spot that's bothering me. Really? That's what I get. Touch it too much. Okay. Okay. Pull that. Push that. Lift that. Tug that. Tote that barge. And that needs to come. Okay. Out the front. Pull it. All right. Now, this is not meeting perfectly. So that gets pushed under, that gets pulled up. Gets pushed under. That gets pulled forward back to where it should be. Like so. So. Try and make sure that the stitches didn't get pulled too much when they were sewn together. Tuck and tuck and tuck. Again. All right. I think that's pretty good. All right, so now that's cut. All right, so we're gonna make some ribbon bundles to tie onto this base. Get some fishing line here. And if they don't like the bow tucks, they can just cut them off. So I'm just going to go back and forth, smaller. Forth. Then center. There, that goes through the center. Right through the loop. So take the other side, put it through the loop. And bring it like this. Tie it off. And you just spin it. Okay, bend it to your will. Actually, let's spin that around, I think. Maybe not. Hold on. So I steamed it so it wouldn't look so big and crazy looking. Okay, hate it. Different ribbon. All right, So I made the bows the same way I just did the other ones, with just a little thicker, little less rigid. And I'm putting it through here. Then this side through here. Boom. That way, if they want to take it off, they can. And it's not a big deal. Also, there we go. I'm afraid to do much more as far as bows go because it's gonna look too big for the scale of this house. Okay? I think it looks pretty cute. Thought I reversed it. Maybe I didn't. Hmm. Yeah. There you go. All set. Put that through there. That. And there you go. Done. Okay. All right. Well, I hope this helps all of you out and you don't just look at me and go, no. Because you can do this. It's using all the same steps that we use when we do the other pieces. And I know you can do this. Now that you've watched the video, are you ready to finish it? I hope so, because I hope you can see how every project, it doesn't matter how many times you do them, they all present a challenge. All right, good luck, everybody. Let me know if you need any help.